I'm the Chief Park Naturalist for Algonquin Provincial Park, and my role is to coordinate the educational programs in the park. So that includes everything from interpretive programs to publications to managing a wonderful visitor center and a logging museum and an art center. I think I have the most interesting job in the park and perhaps in the province. Well, I think Algonquin plays this important role for paddlers. I think it's probably safe to say that for many people in Ontario, their first wilderness-type experience in paddling probably happened in Algonquin Park. I think it's really important for everybody to really understand what it means when you go camping in Black Bear Country. And what I'm really trying to look at in this presentation is to look at the role of education and how important education plays in something like managing people's expectation when they're camping in the backcountry, but also how education can play such an important role in management, messaging, and how we actually manage a species like black bear. So the idea really there is that if you have a good understanding of why black bears do what they do, you have a better ability to be safe in Black Bear Country.
I'm an immigrant from Slovakia, and I found a passion in canoeing here, especially in wild, unknown places. And I also found Lynette here, who does paddling in the wild, unknown places. So we go together on many rivers and lakes where not many other people go into. And this will be our story, how we crossed with other four friends from Hudson Bay to Ungava Bay in very northern Quebec.
She inhaled the last of it.
My name is Jack Goring, and I started canoeing with a friend in 1941. That was when I was at school. Later, I met with Eric Morse, who started me on the Arctic canoe trips, one of which was down the Coppermine in 1966. Among the members of the crew, or the group, were Pierre Trudeau, who was assistant to Prime Minister Pearson at the time. This followed Franklin's route from Lac de Gras down to the town of Coppermine on the Arctic Ocean. The next time I was in that general area was in 1970, which was the centennial of the Northwest Territories, when our group started at Point Lake on the Coppermine River and went south to Yellowknife.
I was working as a camp counselor at just another camp, Gitchigumi. I used to teach kids to paddle canoes out in the water on those hot summer days. And over on the beach there was this girl counselor. Ooh, how I loved her, I could just count the ways. The way she looked in that hot, tight Speedo. Man, it'd make the sun grow dim. But she just stayed there on her beach, watching the little kids swim. So one morning I walked up to her, and I looked her straight in the eye. Stood real close and I said, "Hello." Make a grown man cry, because that's not what I had intended to say. That's not what I meant to say at all. Because what I had in mind when something like this, kind of a northern counselor's mating call. You wanna paddle with me, baby? You wanna move with me, baby? You wanna groove with me, baby?
Johnston, and I am an avid paddler, a whitewater paddler, and a wilderness canoe tripper. And my heart is in on the barren lands in the Arctic. So I did a project that started a couple years ago when we had paddled across the Devont River, and of course came upon Tyrrell's famous boulder cairn. And it was decided that among the group that we should make an effort to try to preserve the cairn notes, and that started us on a journey that I will speak about at the Wilderness Canoeing Symposium.
And at first, you know what you're missing.
Hi, I'm Jason White, and every year I usually do a big canoe trip up north. This summer, I had a lot of difficulty finding a partner. Most of my friends have kids or responsibilities and jobs, so I sort of, had to get creative this summer with finding partners. So I'm going to speak about the story and the process of how I went about solving my problem.
Country stretching out in front of you, something happens to you.
My name is Louise Abbott, and I'm an independent documentary filmmaker in Quebec. I've always sought out remote areas, and in Nunalak, A Forgotten Story, I'll be taking you on a journey to a bewitching remote island in southeastern James Bay, an island in the middle of Cree territory that was once inhabited by a group of Inuit. One of your traveling companions will be the only surviving Inuk to have been born and grown up on the island. Her name is Minnie Outla Freeman, and I believe that her story will touch your heart as it touched mine.
I am Emma Brandy. I am from Toronto, Ontario, and I grew up going to camp near Huntsville, Ontario. I started going there when I was young, and I just started to love canoeing and canoe tripping. I thought that was a summer identity because I started working at the summer camp, and then I would go to school in the school year, like regular people. And then I realized in university that I wanted it to be more than a summer identity. So what I'll be talking about in my presentation is the evolution of that identity from some summer identity to recognizing a lifestyle that I wanted for myself. I went to do my master's in outdoor education at the University of Edinburgh, and in an attempt to write something for my thesis that I felt connected to, I found something called autoethnography, and I'll be discussing how that research style became a source of writing inspiration, and how I found transformation through canoe tripping and through writing about that experience.
For the first load of tomorrow will be in.
My name is Connor Myhill. I'm a writer and a photographer from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. My passion is sharing the joys that I find in the outdoors with other people, and that might be through outdoor adventure, through paddling and skiing and winter camping and all the other things I like to do, and also through environmental activism as well. I think it's important as someone who likes to participate in the outdoors also to be willing to defend it as well. We did a neat trip. We started pretty much right at the end of the managed waterscape up there, so to speak, so right at the headwaters of the James Bay Project diversions, and we headed into wild water. So we headed north and northwest to the Great Whale River, and kind of deked in and out of the Great Whale onto the Coates River, which is a lesser traveled river that we found to be very pleasant. Lots of nice runnable rapids and big falls and lakes, and just wonderful scenery up there. Semi-open country, so the portaging was generally pretty good, although there weren't any trails. We didn't see very many signs of people passing before us. Just a great time to be out on the land for 30 days. You fall into a comfortable rhythm that anyone who's done a long trip would be familiar with, and I think something that I'm really enjoying and passionate about.
Drops away and leaves me free to roam.
I'm Nancy Scott, and I've worked as a park planner with the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources throughout Northern Ontario. So for over 25 years, my role has involved field reconnaissance and preparation of management plans for parks such as Woodland Caribou, Wabakini, Mississauga, and Killarney. I have a deep interest in the outdoors that has led to a long-standing knowledge and fascination for Lake Nipigon. So, as an avid canoeist and kayaker, I'm committed to the conservation of the natural world, with a particular passion for wilderness preservation.
You know the man I fly with.
My name is Devin Ide. I'm a junior high school student from East Gravy, Connecticut in the United States. I'm relatively new to canoe tripping. I go to Camp Keewaydin. My first year was 2 years ago, and I've been going back ever since. Well, I guess my name is Anna McLean. I'm 16 years old. I live just outside of Washington, D.C., and I'm also a junior in high school. I started canoe tripping when I was 11 or 12. This is my 6th summer at Camp Keewaydin. I guess it was my second to last summer, and Devin and I will be going to the Bay next summer, or the Hudson Bay next summer. I definitely see this becoming part of my life. It's something that I think you will always keep with you, even if you don't decide to pursue it in the future, but I know I will. I've had some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life on these trips, and there's nothing like the experience of being out in the middle of basically nowhere and seeing the beauty of nature around you, and just being able to share it with some of your closest friends.
Destination paddling, exploring abandoned communities in Newfoundland and Labrador. Is it the journey, or is it the destination? The focus of this presentation is place. Is it we as human beings that define place, or is it the places we encounter that define our human condition? Between 1954 and 1974, over 300 communities in Newfoundland and Labrador were abandoned. As a paddler, these abandoned communities are sometimes a serendipitous encounter along a journey, or, alternately, a conscious destination in a journey that add meaning and purpose to the expedition. Today, some of these communities are relatively untouched and in a state of biological reclamation, while other abandoned communities maintain a human presence in the form of a New Age coastal cottage country. Encounters with these abandoned communities heighten the experience of place, making the experience evocative and insightful. Abandoned communities represent another era. The remnants dated, they reveal a fracture in linear time while illuminating natural rhythms and cycles.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Ward. I'm the curator at the Canadian Canoe Museum. I've been working with the Canoe Museum now for over 16 years and have found a way to blend my passions for canoe building, the historical research related to this remarkable watercraft, and a bit of time out on the water too as well. I'm looking forward to bringing a collection of stories that surround the larger boats in our collection. These are the freighter canoes, punctuated across the continent and over about a century and a half. I think when most of us think about northern travel, we imagine it done today in a 16-foot Royalex or other synthetical. And I've always been fascinated by the story of the larger workboats that have been found across the north over the last several centuries, these beginning with First Nations craft, dugout and birch bark canoe, followed by the fur trade period, and really in the 20th century resulting in the iconic freighter canoe. These are the big squareback workboats seen up and down James Bay and across the Arctic archipelago. Even today, and I think perhaps what I'm most drawn to with these boats is the fact that they are arguably, I guess, the last of the working class kind of canoe, the last workboat of the family of canoe tradition in Canada.